Alright, greetings again from Jim, AG6IF, continuing with IRLP, getting started. Alright, we adjusted the audio last time, and keep in mind your link radio on the audio, you want to turn the volume, if it has a volume, depending on what radio you're using, but if you're using the volume control on the radio to control part of that, you're going to want to kind of find a place and run the audio check and see if it's working. And once you figure out where the volume on the radio, the link radio, should be, just put a mark on there so you can kind of leave it there. Okay, so all that fits together. So anyway, we log back into our Raspberry Pi, our Pi IRLP as root, and then we want to switch to the repeater. So once again, it's SU space repeater like this, and hit enter. And now we're in the repeater user. We're going to do a pulse check. So you start typing in the command line, PULSE, and then I believe you can hit the tab and it will finish putting the command in for you if you've typed it correctly. So pulse check keys the radio a couple times and it checks for a pulse in the receive. I believe it's in the receive, and it tells you what value to store in a file if there's a need. So we'll run this and watch what happens. So it keys the radio up for 5 seconds, and then it keys it up short for a short key. So here's the results. Basically, the default is 150. The file in question is in home IRLP, custom, and the file name is timing. It says the second number in that file should be 150. Well, the good part is that is the default value, but if your radio and your interface cable and all that put together requires a change, it will tell you what the number should be. And the way you get to edit that file is tool in Linux. I like to use Nano, N-A-N-O, and if you hit the up arrow on the keyboard, it will put in your previous commands. You can kind of scroll through them here like so. So let's see, there is the command. Last time I issued it, it's right here. I can find it real simply by the up arrow key, and now when I hit enter, it's going to bring up the editor program, and right here the second number is 150. It says do not change the format of this file, only change the number. So it's like an older, like Norton full screen editor. You can up and down arrow with your keyboard. So if it tells you to make it something other than 150, you're going to want to go in and edit this file and change the second number to something else. Maybe it's 250, like so. Alright, I'm going to switch that back. And then once you get done, it's a control, a control O. Let's see, it's in here somewhere. Control O is save. Alright, so then you do a control key O, control O. It's hard with one hand here. File name to right, just hit enter. That's your default file name. And then to exit the editor, it's control X right here. Okay, so control X. And now we're back out to the command prompt. Sorry if you don't like the command prompt, but it's not too bad. You get used to it. Then that's the pulse check. There is, when you're working with back to your audio a minute, there's a file called audio test, and it runs a little program. It runs a WAV file out, and you can listen to it. So if you wanted to double check your audio by adjusting the speaker volume, or the speaker volume on your link radio or whatever, you can do that. So if we do that now, I'm going to type AUDIOT, like audio test, and then with Linux, if you hit the tab key, it'll put the most likely option in. So watch this. I'm going to hit tab, and it actually put it in the rest of the way for me. So when I hit enter, you're going to hear what what happens here. Here we go.
V7 LTD, testing 1, 2, 3. This is Victor Echo 7.
Okay, and that's the end of the test. Now, here you go. If you want to be clever about this, you can open up two SSH windows. And as you can see here, I've got my, from the previous video, I've got my PuTTY screen still open. So you could be over on the other screen with AU Mix up and running, like this. Remember that one? You could have that running, and then come over here and issue the audio test. Maybe I'll show you this. This is for extra credit, but here we go. I'm gonna run the audio tests again by hitting the up arrow. The last command is gonna go back in there for me. Okay, and then I'm gonna switch over to this window. It's conventional, Alt Tab, and I'm gonna move the speaker control around, and you're gonna be able to hopefully hear the difference here. So audio test, I'm hitting enter first. And then I'm going to mouse over to this screen and activate it. Okay, now distortion. I can bring it down till it just disappears. Okay, I'm using the arrow keys here. Up, down. Okay, and then when you get it where you think it sounds good, hit the S for save. I do it a couple times. I don't know why. And then Q for exit, and it'll drop you back to the command prompt. So, and then if you remember from the last video, you want the AU Mix -S, like so, and hit enter. Now I got to that. I didn't even type it. I just used my up arrow keys because that'll remember. Linux remembers your prior commands. If you ever want to see what your prior commands were, if you're not sure, just type history. HISTORY, and it'll scroll every command you've ever typed into the machine. And there's ways to page that also with like a pipe more, which is that up and down character, pipe MORE. That'll give you a page, and then you can hit enter to go to the next page. Okay, just some little tricks for Linux. That works in Windows too, by the way. Alright, so that was the audio test command and pulse check. Alright, there's another utility that you can run that's helpful. It's called troubleshoot-irlp. TROUBLE. Let's see if it'll come up. Now when I hit the tab, it put the rest of the words in. I only had to type part of the command, hit tab. Now when I run this, it's going to go through and check my firewall. It's going to check a bunch of stuff. So let's just do that real quick here. I'm going to hit enter. Let's see what it's doing here. It says to run the test, press enter. So, of course, here we go. Enter. DNS server test. Pass. Inbound UDP and TCP forwarding. That's where you're going to be messing with your firewall settings for your internet. And there's a whole chapter in the how-to book on how to do that. That's beyond the scope of this little video here. But port test, you hit enter. So my host name resolves all the different things that IRLP needs. This is all computer network stuff. And enter, and it'll tell you what's wrong. It's if there's a problem, it's updating its keyring for the PGP, pretty good privacy, and so on and so on. All the way down to the end, checks date and time, press enter. The environment file, it says there's corruption. That can happen if you're not running the IR or the Echo link piece. It says don't worry about that. Hit enter. Everything passed. Enter. Now we're done. We're back to the command prompt. So my system is functional, and that's how you can help yourself troubleshoot mostly your firewall settings are going to be a little bit of a bugger. Once you get the audio set and the troubleshooting looks good, sorry about the finger there, what you can do is hit node number 9990 and run an audio test, two-way audio test. So let's just try that. So I'm going to press the PTT here, and okay, it's hard with one hand, let me tell you. So PTT 9990. Okay, now I'm on the reflector. I'm going to say something, and it's going to play it back. Here we go. AG6IF testing. About 10 seconds later, it'll play it back. You can hear yourself. Okay.
AG6IF testing, testing, testing.
Okay, so it sounded to me like it was a little overmodulated. I can reduce my microphone, or I can talk softer or hold the microphone a little farther away, right? So we're going to try again here. AG6IF testing, testing, testing. A little softer that time, held the mic a little bit farther away, and it'll come back. Here we go.
AG6IF testing, testing, testing.
So you might not be able to tell in the video, but that sounds a lot better. So my mic's a little hot, and I just have to remember that. Or I can adjust the microphone with AU Mix and bring that down a little bit more. Either way works. So you just have to understand your equipment, right? So when you're done, 7.3 disconnects. 7.3 always disconnects your node, so I'm going to key up, hit 7.3. Boy, that's a hard one too. There goes my IDer. Let's wait for that to finish. Okay, here we go. Key 7.3.
IRLP, echo reflector, link clear.
Link clear. Okay, so I'm off. Okay, very good. AG6IF clear. And just put my call sign out there on my 446-300 channel. Okay, good. So we've talked about audio test, pulse check. We looked at troubleshoot-irlp, and a little bit of how to do the audio levels. Let's see, there's a couple other things. Probably save it for next video. What you want to do is look in your environment file, make sure that your node name is correct and your call sign is correct. You can also adjust your IDer timing. It's set by default to 10 minutes. You can change that to less if you want. You can't change it to more. It's a legal requirement every 10 minutes, right? So keep that in mind. You can slow it down. You can change the tone of your CW IDer and so forth. There's some other things in there you can play with. That's the environment file. So I guess that's enough for this time around. Jim, AG6IF, and getting my IRLP node set up, and a good friend of mine as well. So we're working together on this. So hey, thanks, Bill. Safe travels, buddy. And we'll talk with you later. This is Jim, AG6IF, saying 7.3.